Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for How Hiring Moms Gives Companies a Competitive Edge. I'm Elizabeth Shackelford, Senior Manager of Brand Communications and Partnerships here at the Mom Project, and I am honored to moderate today's discussion with these esteemed women. Penny Queller, CEO of the Mom Project, Marissa Comart, Assistant General Counsel, Employment at Etsy, and Molly Day, COO at Moms First. Thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Well, and last month, the Mom Project released our new research report, Productive, Purposeful, and Profitable, How Hiring Moms Gives Companies a Competitive Edge. And in this report, we worked with Etsy and Moms First to deliver compelling data on moms' value and the return on investment for businesses that hire them. Collectively, we know that when moms do better, businesses do better. And today's moms are everywhere, doing every job from individual contributors to the highest levels of executive leadership. And moms often overachieve and outperform not because of the conditions of their employment, but in spite of them. Moms make up the gap between what's needed and what's offered, and they do so while elevating their teams, boosting workplace cultures, and delivering real results, all while keeping the world spinning at home. In today's conversation, Penny, Marissa, and Molly will discuss the report findings and what businesses can do to invest in mom and see big returns. A few small housekeeping things before we get started. This event is recorded and will be saved here on LinkedIn and on YouTube. We will also email it to you afterwards. And there will be time for a Q&A session at the end. So add any questions that you may have into the comments, and we will get to those at the end. All right, let's dive in. So before we get into the research, I'd love for you all to introduce yourself. Penny, let's start with you.
Happy to go first. Hi, I'm Penny Queller, and I'm the CEO of the Mom Project. I've been working at the Mom Project as the CEO for just coming up on 1 year, although I've been affiliated with the company for 5 or 6 years, having worked closely with our founder, Allison Robinson. I've got 2 kids, Jacob and Avery, 26 and 25. And I love these kind of sessions where it takes me back and reminds me of what it's like to be a working mom and having kids under your roof, right? Even people like me need to be reminded of these things, and really just, spend some really quality time with our folks that are chiming in, as well as our speakers here today. So thanks, everyone.
Marissa, how about you?
Yeah, sure. My name's Marissa Comart. I'm a lawyer at Etsy and an advocate for caregiving and parental leave on behalf of Etsy's corporate employees and the millions of parents who sell items on our site. I am a former first grade special education teacher. I taught in New York City public schools before going to law school. I live in Washington, D.C. now, and I have 2 kids, 4.5 and 2.5. Penny, I don't know that you want to be reminded of because it's nothing. So yeah, I'm momming pretty hard these days, and lawyering pretty hard too. So glad to be here with everybody.
Oh, I love it. Molly, how about you?
I'm Molly Day. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Moms First. Also momming pretty hard like Marissa. I have a new kindergartner, so Vera, who's 5.5, and a new preschooler, Henry, who's 2.5. Those half years are very important. And I'm based in Brooklyn. And I've spent my career working in partnership with and to ensure that we are investing in moms, particularly moms with young kids. And I'm so proud to be here, representing Moms First and our movement, which is over 85 million moms in this country who deserve workplaces, communities, and culture where they're supported, where they're valued, where they can thrive. So that's kind of the work we're doing at Moms First in a country that still doesn't have paid family and medical leave. In every state, it costs more for childcare with 2 kids than it costs for your mortgage. And at the same time, moms are still doing 2/3 of the work at home while taking on more work in the workplace. So I could not be more excited to be in a conversation today to talk about moms and the importance of their role in the workforce and why we should value them so much more than we do already. So thank you.
Thank you for those intros. To everyone who's listening, let us know where you're coming from today. And if you have kids or if you're a caretaker, we would love to hear about it. I'm also in the chaos with a 2.5-year-old and an almost 5-year-old. So we're all in it. We're in the thick of it. So Penny, you'll get really reminded today.
Not a problem. Not a problem. They're great memories, hard memories. And I love the like momming hard. I've never used that term before. I'm going to start using that.
I just made it up. I don't know.
We're all going to use it now. Well, and while we're kind of getting to know everybody on a more personal level, I would love to hear about your favorite productivity hack, your most recently, like your favorite watched show or your recently read book, and your favorite app. Penny, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. So I'll do two of them in one, right? So this is a hack and an app. So I love cooking. It's like, it's just a stress relief for me. I like making food for other people. I've got special recipes, soup season. So I'm making a lot of soup. I really don't like grocery shopping though. I don't like to like have, I want like a sous chef that like it's all done and then I can just put it together. So I use an app called Shipt, and they have lovely features and functions where I can just repeat orders and all that kind of stuff. And it just magically everything shows up at my door. So that's my productivity hack as well as my favorite app.
Love it. Marissa?
Yeah, as far as the productivity hack, I prepped a different answer to this question, but Molly, in hearing you remind us that, 2/3 of caregiving, unpaid caregiving work is done by women, I think my productivity hack was marrying and co-parenting with someone who does 50% or more. And there is nothing better than that. I'm married to a man who kind of refuses to perpetuate that dynamic. So it relieves me of obviously the hours and the resentment, burden, stress, all of that would come with doing more than half of caregiving work. So that's my productivity hack.
That is brilliant.
So
Molly, how about you?
Winning strategy. I mean, I was going to say my productivity hack was having 2 children and then having to figure it out. So there's just nothing like that increases one's efficiency. But I have to say, I feel like I was thinking about this, and just the thing I do all the time is a walk and talk. So I really try, like, it's important to me to be able to drop my kids off to school. And I know it's a privilege, but it's important to me to have that time. But you know what? When I come back after I've dropped them off, I pick up the phone and do a morning meeting. And we have the type of workplace culture where that's okay. And I think that allows me to just really use all the little bits and pieces of my day really effectively. Frankly, when I'm also like out in fresh air, like enjoying some steps walking home. So that for me is a productivity hack in as much as it helps me be efficient, but also like supports my well-being because that's when I'm going to be most productive. So yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's too, is flexible workplaces, which we will get into momentarily. And I think, I know we don't have a lot of time, so we'll just go quickly, but your favorite book or show that you've recently watched? Penny?
I'm looking.
Oh, did I put you on the spot?
You did a little bit. This is not a new book. But if you guys are into like platforms like the Mom Project, the Platform Revolution is pretty mind-bending. It's super heady though, but it's helping me to understand more specifically about how to launch and scale a platform. So I don't know. That's like I said, it's pretty heady. It's not like some fun fictional, but anyway, that's my most recent read.
Anyone else have one to add?
I mean, I'll just go. This is my favorite read of the year. It's not my most recent, but I read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow earlier this year. I've seen everybody on the subway. I live in Brooklyn reading that book, but I just read it and cried and reread it. And just the story about like friendship and also too, there was just this part that really made me think about and value each moment, right? How am I like taking a moment to really soak it in and appreciate like, this is it. It's not a video game. You don't get to like restart every time. So no spoilers, but it's a great book. Check it out. Yeah.
It is a great book.
I'm the only person on the planet who did not like that book. It picked up in like the last. I know this is the reaction. I know. Let's talk offline. Yeah. I have a couple of books that I'm reading also, Penny, both kind of heady, and I'm realizing I kind of need to chill out. One is called Boy Mom, and it's about raising boys in today's society in the US, where, you know, gender and mental health issues are kind of woven into so much of today's society, and this panel, this event. So it kind of explores like how to raise sons that have a healthy sense of self, but not in a way that, you know, they feel bad about themselves or are apologizing for the misogynies of the past and present. So I have two boys, and I kind of feel like I adhere to these progressive, sometimes like feminist values of smash the patriarchy. And then in this book, this mom says, but sometimes I just want to wrap the patriarchy up in a blankie and snuggle him in his nap time. Like, I'm like, I have these two kids. What do I do? So that's an interesting one. And then a book called How to Do Nothing, Resisting the Attention Economy. And it's just about the value of doing nothing and zoning out and not always looking for a productivity hack and kind of just chilling out a little bit.
Very counterintuitive to what I'm asking you today. So that's good. I think we need that reminder. There's a balance in everything. Well, and let's dive into some of the findings. Our newest report includes some very impactful data on the investment of moms in the workforce. Penny, can you tell us why the Mom Project produced the report and some of the data within that?
Yeah. Well, we're responsible. We're accountable. We're the Mom Project, right? We got to make sure that everyone comes along with us in what we're trying to accomplish, which is to make sure that if moms don't want to choose between being a mom and being successful in the career, they don't have to, right? That's what we're going for, right? So, so it's our accountability as the Mom Project. The report is awesome. And the team killed it. Elizabeth was part of that team. So thank you, Elizabeth. We surveyed and spoke with, interviewed 235 of our clients that work with the Mom Project, as well as 4,000 moms that are in our community. And they told us some awesome, fascinating things. Some things affirm kind of what we already know, and some are more intriguing, right? And make us think a bit more deeply about moms and what we're doing in the workforce. So what we do know, and you've said it once already, Elizabeth, is that we know that when moms do better, businesses do better. Period. We know that. And maybe you've caught a sneak peek of our marketing campaign, which is starting this month, which is called, it's kind of edgy, right? Moms Get Shit Done. Right. So you're going to be seeing a lot of it from the Mom Project, you know, on your doorstep or social media soon. We've also learned that 76% of companies say that their mom or caregiver employees are high performers. 72% of companies say that they receive a high ROI when they work with moms and when moms work on their team. So those are some of the headlines, and we'll be diving into more of it on this call, and then more will be coming to your social media feed as well. But that's why we did it. And these are the things that we're learning.
And we will also pop a link into the chat to download the report, and then it will also be in that post-event email. But in the report, we also found that 77% of companies see that transferable skills, also known as soft skills, are just as important as those technical skills. Traits like emotional intelligence and other interpersonal or power skills that they've come to know, such as managing multiple priorities, momming really hard, leading with empathy, and some of those are often more compelling than technical or job-specific skills alone. I'd love to hear from all three of you about what you are seeing regarding the benefits in your workplace of mom transferable skills. Penny?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that. So one of the first things that came to mind with this question is I saw a post recently from another mom advocate on LinkedIn, and she just did a rundown on everything she accomplished before 8 a.m. Okay. And reminding you all, my kids are 26 and 27. So it's been about 20 years since I've been in that thing, right? And it just even someone like me who's done this, it just gave me a moment to really remember what it was like, right? And how much work you got done before 8 a.m. Amazing. And you know what I'm talking about, you guys. So you're living it every day. The skills that you just built up before 8 a.m. are completely applicable, right? Resilience and, negotiation, communication, right? All of these things are completely applicable to the workforce. But that particular post really lit up my mind. So I had to mention it.
Marissa, how about you?
Yeah, I think one of the most transferable skills of parenting is having empathy and kind of an emotional intelligence, and particularly for moms. I know there's research on brain chemistry, even changing if you're a biological parent in pregnancy, and kind of being able to tune in to people's emotions. That's really, really valuable as a leader at a company, and particularly in this kind of post-COVID time. We've all gone through a lot in the past few years, and particularly parents who had young children a few years ago are still maybe finding their balance. The kids are finding their balance, and so parenting, I think, helps leaders at Etsy really have empathy and compassion and perspective of what their fellow parents are doing before 8 a.m., what it's like to kind of be showing up to work with a life outside of work that is demanding and needing your attention and is unpredictable. So I think that's a big one. And then, Molly, you said that one of your productivity hacks is just being a parent. And I see that at Etsy, that our parents are able to prioritize and let things go. Like, I even find in my own life, my first kid, we brushed his teeth morning and night. We had toothbrush songs, we had toothbrush books, videos. My second kid, I think that my husband brushed his teeth before going on a business trip yesterday, Sunday night. But we're just letting it go. And everyone's alive, and everyone's happy, and everyone's in school, and the teeth will get brushed. And I think that bringing a little bit of that prioritization to your work, I'm not advocating for poor dental hygiene, but I am advocating for seeing the big picture, and especially at a tech company like Etsy, things are moving, and so we have to focus on top business priorities. I think being a parent forces workers to do that.
Yeah, I love that note on prioritization, because it's so true. The things you thought were super important pre-kids have just evolved post-kids. Molly, what about you, about the transferable skills that moms bring to the workplace?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think we see such interest from leaders of businesses in these, soft skills, because the challenges of our world are increasingly so much more complex than they ever were, right? And we are automating to do the day-to-day easy things, punch out. And, I would just step back and say, I have the privilege of getting to see our moms, who are part of the Moms First movement, show up to fight one of the historically most intractable, complex challenges, which is a broken care infrastructure. And they come at the work with just incredible problem-solving skills and creativity, right? I think a real penchant for collaboration, because they understand that they will be more powerful together, right? Working together, than they are as an ego-driven leader, right? And I think, to what Marissa's point is, they're showing up to our work juggling multiple priorities. So, we're getting these moms literally on it's not even the third shift, or their fourth shift, right? They've attended to their families, they've attended to their workplaces, they've attended to their homes and what they need to take care of there. And they're showing up and finding time and ability to juggle and prioritize something that is so important to them. So I think just the privilege of being in this movement with these moms allows me to see this set of soft skills that they wield so effectively against this incredibly complicated problem. I'm oh, well, that's a no-brainer. Most of our workplaces, have those complicated problems, maybe even a little less so. So you want to hire those moms. They are the people that are equipped and are doing this work day in and day out in every facet of their lives. So those are the skills for your top performing employees that are going to come in and really change the game for your company.
Well, and Molly, on that note, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Moms First study, the employee benefit that pays for itself, together with the Boston Consulting Group. And in it, your data reveals that companies that invest in childcare see a up to 425% return on investment. Talk to us more about the report and you share more about what you discovered between that ROI for moms.
Yeah, thank you. We love this report for so many reasons, but I think at the core of it was, I think Moms First recognized that, for too long in our culture, childcare has just not been seen as a personal, or it has been seen as a personal issue that parents have to solve for themselves. And it wasn't seen as an economic issue that required women to work. If you step back and look at the simple facts of it, women are nearly half the workforce. And we know that you need care to work. So I think it was very intuitive to our team of moms and mom allies that investing in childcare benefits had to have a return for companies. But even when we spoke with senior business leaders, and we said, okay, I kind of buy that, but who's going to pay for it? And I think what we said to them is like, if you pay for it, you're going to get a return, but there was no data to really prove that. And so that was what we wanted to do with this study, is really point out how businesses what they really stand to gain from investing in childcare. And so we partnered up with Boston Consulting Group last year, and then 5 companies, Fast Retailing, Steamboat Ski Resort, Synchrony, UPS, and then Etsy. And Marissa really led the charge there with her team. And these were 5 companies who were willing to go out on a limb. They were offering childcare benefits of all different types, actually, different size companies. And they said, come in, we'll share our data, and BCG is going to look at, is there an ROI? And as you said, we found that every company reported a positive ROI, regardless of the childcare benefit type. It was up to 425%. And we learned that even companies, they needed to retain as few as 1% of eligible employees to cover the cost of providing that childcare benefit. So that just 1%. You just need to retain as few as 1% of eligible employees. It is such a no-brainer. I love Reshma, our CEO, likes to say it's financial malfeasance to not invest in childcare when you see these types of results. And so for us, having that data has really opened up the door to a lot of conversations to really popularize and expand businesses' awareness and interest in investing in not only their moms when we talk about it, but really all their employees who could really stand to benefit from investments in care. And today you have 70% of all employees have some type of care demand in their life. So for us, this is part of the case making that we want to do to really create a sea change of employers' understanding of why they need to invest in care.
And as you mentioned, everyone, 70% of people will have caregiving responsibilities in their lifetime, whether that's children, whether that's their parents, whether that's their pets. And so really it covers the gamut of, supporting employees through that, wherever that journey may be, is going to be a win-win for both the employee and the company.
Exactly.
Well, and kind of transitioning to how Etsy does it, and Etsy does it so well, the Mom Project's work with Etsy started in 2019, and we've had 250 plus total hires, with 25% of those hires converting into full-time. Marissa, I would love to hear more about the partnership between the Mom Project and Etsy and the impact to the business.
Yeah, thanks for asking. And I've been at Etsy for 3.5 years. I've worked with a number of Mom Project contractors and employees who we got somehow down the line through the Mom Project. I did not realize that 25% of those hires were converted full-time from the Mom Project coverage. So that's excellent. I'll tell you about how Etsy partners with the Mom Project. So Etsy has, we offer 26 weeks of fully paid gender-neutral parental leave to all of our employees. So whether it's following childbirth or adoption or fostering, our employees get what is in the US considered to be a very generous leave. And employees and teams have the flexibility to take their leave all in one chunk or in 2 different chunks. So often when an employee is going out for a full 26 weeks, 6 months period, you can imagine that there's a gap on the team. And if the gap isn't easily filled internally, then Etsy has a budget that will pay for coverage from Mom Project. And so we've been really, really fortunate to get stellar candidates from the Mom Project who are able to step in and provide coverage for the duration of an employee's leave while they're on parental leave, and some time on either end to allow for a smooth transition. Etsy's budget is in the $5 million range for this type of leave coverage. So it's really an investment. It's an investment in, obviously, the employee who's going out on leave. It's a way to make sure that their work keeps moving. It's an investment in the company. And it also is an investment in the people who come to us through the Mom Project. So I have very close personal experience with this. I had a child 2.5 years ago and took 26 weeks of leave from Etsy, and we hired an employee through the Mom Project. I'm sorry, we hired someone to cover for me through the Mom Project. Her name is Dara, and she and I overlapped for a month before I went out on leave. So I got to know her pretty well, and got comfortable leaving my workload, my baby, in her hands while I was out. And Dara is someone who's quite an experienced lawyer. She has children herself and had taken time away from the workforce during the pandemic and was kind of toying with the idea of coming back to full-time work, but not quite sure. So for her, the opportunity to have, this like 6 month time-bound opportunity was like a good way for her to dip her toe in the water. So she started a month before I went back, like I said, and I got to know her. And when I came back, she said that she had such a positive experience at Etsy that she was ready to go back to full-time work. And as it turned out, we had room to hire her on the team full-time. So she's among that 25% that you were talking about. But, in thinking about her and her excellent work and the impact that she's made at Etsy, it's really clear how impactful the Mom Project has been, because she would not have applied for a full-time job. She needed that transition back from when she took time away from the workforce. She would have been one of the many millions of moms who leave work because it's hard and there's no way to get back in a lot of the times. She's a Black woman in Alabama. These are populations that are not represented at Etsy. And so it's a way for Etsy to also foster talent in ways that we might not have otherwise had access to. And the ripple effect kind of goes on. When I came back from leave, she was a support to me. We just have all really benefited from having the Mom Project facilitate leave coverage in this way.
I love that story. And we didn't know about this really until you added your notes in the document form. And I was like, wait, is she still where? Tell me more about it.
She's here. She's not here because she's on vacation this week, which is honestly all the better, because she would be so embarrassed hearing me talk about her in this way and kind of, fangirling over my colleague, because she really is just so excellent and we're all so grateful to have her. And I'll say our manager, who is a mother of 3 herself, really spotted Dara, and upon working with her when I was out, really made a push to keep her on the team, because she herself, my manager, knows how hard it is to transition back into the workforce and how hard it is to find excellent talent sometimes. And so she was kind of 1 in a million, and we snagged her thanks to the Mom Project.
We love that. And we're so proud of our maternity ship partnership that allows us to help fill coverage, because we know that one of the key drivers to a successful parental leave program is giving that current employee the time and the space to be able to disconnect and also feel confident that someone's going to keep the, work moving while they're gone. So you could fully relax and enjoy that time with your newborn. So it's so important. And then also, the maternity ships give women or caregivers a chance to take those soft skills that they learned during their career break, or, when they were just, and it allows them to gather those skills and feel confident and ready for their, full-fledged return to full-time work. So love that story. Love everything about that.
I'll add one more thing that might make you love it even more, because I'm realizing that for many women and parents, when they're out on leave and they return, sometimes there's like a 1, 3, 6 month stack of work that was just kind of like, oh, we'll do that when that person gets back from their parental leave. And let me tell you, I was not up for a stack of 6 months of a backlog of work when I came back. And I might have been one of those women who does not return to work after a parental leave. But the fact that the work was covered and that it wasn't just, Band-Aid solutions the whole time, like the work was done by a full-time qualified worker, then allowed me to succeed when I came back. So it's just this kind of flywheel effect of a, productive and positive experience.
And investing in those resources. I mean, similar to childcare, investing in the resources to cover that so that you feel successful and empowered in your return back to work. Well, and kind of following up on that, when businesses create policies to adapt to caregivers, at any phase in the caregiving journey, the business reaps the benefits of happy, productive employees. Marissa, tell us a bit more about how that's fostered at Etsy.
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked that. So Etsy's mission is to keep commerce human. We work with millions of individual craft people and sellers who make their living oftentimes selling their products on the platform. So we're not, selling big mass produced things. We really care to keep commerce human. And for Etsy, we want that to start internally and kind of walk the walk with our corporate employees who have the benefits that I was speaking about earlier. So beyond the parental leave benefits, the 26 weeks gender blind leave that I was talking about, we offer childcare reimbursements, backup care with local partners that allow employees to get reimbursement for childcare that's kind of coming up for unexpected needs. Your kid is sick, they can't get to daycare, whatever that is. And so you don't have to take a day off work or worse, like be stressing out with your kid in front of a TV and you're slacking on your phone or something. Like you can afford to have childcare coverage. We also provide fertility benefits for employees. We provide paid family leave, unlimited sick leave that includes if your child is sick. And our culture just really supports keeping our employees, including and especially our parents, engaged and thriving at work. So you can imagine, or many of you probably know and are experiencing today, if you're working parents, how draining and how stressful and how impossible it can be when you're going through fertility treatments or are expecting a child or are recently returning from a parental leave or coming back before you're mentally or physically ready. A sick kid, a sick parent, if we're talking about how many people are in like the sandwich generation and caregivers. And it just doesn't it doesn't make a positive work experience, and certainly would not make for quality work if you're being pulled in that many directions. And this is what's happening across our country. And so, at Etsy, we really look at our employees as an investment. So we know that these caregiving years, with all of those attendant stresses and complications and disruptions that I just talked about, often overlaps with the time that employees have the potential to skyrocket in their careers. Your 20s, 30s, early 40s, these are times that kind of can make or break whether an employee is rising to the next level. And if we support employees throughout that time, then we know that we'll reap the benefits on the other side if we're investing in them kind of in the long term. So my boss said that to me when I was coming back from leave and, saying, I don't have to put the foot full on the gas on day one and it's okay. And we can ease back in and the work gets done and it'll get done better if, I kind of give myself a little bit of grace as I'm returning. And again, we had coverage. And she's a powerhouse. So at first I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? But if you ask anyone at Etsy, everyone at Etsy knows my boss and they will say that she is a rock star. And if she was telling me that it's okay, then I knew it was okay. She herself is a parent of 3 and it has not slowed her down one bit. So, I can speak on behalf of Etsy and then also just from a personal experience that having these supports has made for a much more fulfilling career and productive experience for the company when it comes to coming back from leave and just being a parent in the workplace.
And especially just meeting parents where they are. In the report, we talked about, some of the ways that companies describe moms and describe caretakers in the workforce. And one of the biggest ones was empathy, focus, resilience. And I think all of these stages of caregiving, whether you're coming back from parental leave or you're, in the sandwich generation, you're fostering these soft skills that just ultimately, help you wherever you're at in your career journey. So know that even if you take a beat, or it doesn't have to be full force day one, like you're still fostering these skills that you'll take with you. So everything that we do is kind of a learned experience, and we take them with us. Connection, perspective, time management, we're all learning these things, but these are invaluable tools that moms bring to the workforce day in and day out. As a reminder, we will have time for a Q&A. So add any questions that you may have into the comments. We'll be excited to dive into those. But I think the other thing that I wanted to talk about is, we discussed the impact of moms in the workforce, but let's shift into how we can collectively work to make that a reality. Creating a future of work that works for everyone is what we like to say at the Mom Project. I would love to hear your thoughts on how businesses can create more opportunities for mom and, more successes for tomorrow. Penny, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. So there's a lot of ways that businesses can create more opportunities for mom, but there are two that are my favorite. So I'll start with those. So the first one we've touched on a little bit on this call already, which is return to work programs, or sometimes they're called returnships, right? So many moms face a gap in their resumes due to taking time off for childcare. It's just a thing, right? It's been happening for a long time. Business leaders need to really wise up and think about developing returnship programs that can provide potentially training, mentorship, or maybe just a gradual reintegration into the workforce, right? So the example that Marissa gave earlier is so brilliant, right? About this attorney that now Etsy has the opportunity to work with because of, her stepping back into Marissa's shoes when she was out on maternity leave. So anyway, that opportunity exists, and companies can step up and think more aggressively about that. And second, still on the returnships or return to work thought is, for goodness sake, stop penalizing job seekers for resume gaps, right? This is just so old fashioned, and it still is in recruitment today, right? We just need to stop. That is just so old fashioned. We need to move on from that. So the second thing that I think companies can do and focus on to create more opportunities for moms is to just think about their culture and prioritize, actively cultivating inclusive cultures that values the contributions of working parents, right? This includes offering potentially professional development tailored to the unique challenges that working parents face. You could just simply create spaces for dialogue and support. And it could just be done through employee resource groups. And a lot of companies have really embraced this and are running fast with just creating a culture that it's very safe to talk about your personal life, your kids, all of that. Personally, I've been in the working world for 30 years, and probably my first 20 years, I didn't talk about my family much, right? But come on. This is such a simple thing to do to really put our arms around working parents, because it's most of your population.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we do have an interesting case study on our returnship program with some very compelling facts and kind of what it's more about. So we will add that into the chat. And then the other thing, Penny, that you mentioned was career gaps, is we hear that from our community all the time. How do I address this gap in my resume? And we have so many resources that talk about that and talk about how you can talk about those soft skills that we mentioned earlier. So if you're interested in resources, send us a DM and we'll be happy to send those your way. Marissa, what about you? Tell us more about, what businesses can do to kind of help foster moms in the workplace.
Yeah, I'll underscore paid leave, a topic that that I know is near and dear to everybody's hearts here, particularly Molly with Moms First. Paid parental leave is a basic human right as far as I'm concerned, but it also isn't the panacea, and it's not the end of what companies need to do. So I think all of what we're talking about, just to kind of put a bow on it, is paid leave is the first step.
Yes.
Maybe even the second step, having a culture that shows people that they can be parents in your workplace, providing all those supports during any pregnancy and fertility and expecting parents, adoption processes. Okay, so maybe paid leave is the second step. And then after that, Penny, what you're talking about regarding return shifts, and I had this experience that I shared, and Etsy has a culture of having a little grace when an employee is returning from leave. It's not like, okay, the deadline's tomorrow. But if your company isn't equipped for that, or if your company doesn't have just like the internal expertise to do that, there are external consultants that companies can hire. There's an organization called the Fifth Trimester that I know people have worked with that allows mentoring for employees coming back from parental leave and helps people reintegrate. So there are ways that even if your HR department, or if you don't even have an HR department, depending on the size of your company, if you're not really prepared to have a returnship program, go on the internet and find someone to help you. So I think that's a really important way that businesses can make a difference. And I'll go back to highlight something that I mentioned earlier in passing about our parental leave program, which is that it's gender neutral. Men, fathers, non-binary people at Etsy take parental leave at an equal rate as women, mothers. And so, yes, and at Molly, I see you applauding, and it's really, really powerful because it eliminates, or at least mitigates, the motherhood penalty that women experience. Everybody sees at Etsy that men are returning to work after their paternity, parental leave, and not missing a beat as far as anyone can tell. And so why would it be different for a woman returning back from leave? It's not. So I think that encouraging the men in your workplace who are parents or advocates of parents, or who know parents or care about or work with parents or who have parents, to step up and be open. Like Penny, for 20 years, you didn't advertise your kids. Have the dads in your office have pictures of their kids on their desk. Have the dads in your office, when they have to dip out at 5:30, say, I'm going to my kid's soccer game. And it really changes the conversation, changes the culture in these sort of subtle ways that might be the thing that makes a big difference.
Yes, that was such a good mention about dads taking parental leave. Because, the cycle of the motherhood penalty, and all it does is break that and help that narrative of we all need to take time to reevaluate, be close with our families. Molly, how about you?
Yes, I really love that. I mean, all of these things, and especially that parental leave piece of just, I think when a dad is able to take that time, really, in the earliest few weeks and months, it resets the relationship to your child, to your partner, to your workplace. And I think that is where we today diverge and get ourselves off on the wrong path so often. And so yes to that. And I also, Penny, you were speaking to the cultural pieces. So much of that is so important. And so maybe what I'll just add to build on it is to come back to my refrain around childcare right now, which is just, I think there's some really tangible things that businesses can do, and they're directly responsive to businesses being able to recruit the best top performing talent. I think there was a recent stat I saw from the Bipartisan Policy Center that said 50% of prime age women who are not working today are not working because of caregiving challenges, right? And so there's a role for the business community to play in providing childcare benefits to their employees. I think today it's just about 10% of companies that offer anything, so we have a long way to go. And there are some really simple ways for companies to get started with this. The first thing we say again and again to all of our partner companies through our National Business Coalition for Childcare and beyond is to survey your employees. Do not make assumptions about the types of caregiving challenges that they are facing. we've worked with companies of all different stripes, sizes, industries, and what the care you think your employees may need is oftentimes not what they need. So you might think about investing in or needing to build a giant childcare center when actually your employees are just really looking for some type of backup solution in an episodic way. So I think start by survey and ask not only about childcare, but caregiving beyond childcare. So it's the first step. The second is actually make the investment, because the reality is today your company is already losing money as a result of the childcare crisis in this country, its impact on absenteeism, productivity, and our report shows you only stand to gain. So the ROI for investing, these are dollars that are incredibly well spent. I love our partner UPS that said in a moment where there was real kind of tightening the belt, the one thing that they put more money into was childcare benefits, because they knew it had such a powerful return on their employees' ability to show up, be focused, feel well supported at home. And then the last thing is, Moms First, we have this National Business Coalition for Childcare. If you're looking for a place to get started, we can help you out. And we want to take the conversation further. We want, and we have today, hundreds of companies across this country who are really ambassadors for making the case that childcare is an economic imperative for them, for their employees. And we know that it's not just going to be the private sector that solves this. We're going to need the government to really partner. And so they are leaders in really fostering bipartisan public policy solutions that we're going to need to really get this childcare crisis into a better place in this country, and as a result, ensure that women in this country have a chance to work and take care of their families and really thrive. It's going to make us all better off.
Absolutely. And Penny, Marissa, and Molly, you all shared such tangible takeaways that businesses can do to really impact mom's productivity and mom's success and longevity, and that pathway to leadership in the workplace. And one of the most staggering things that we found in our report were that 80% of women that we surveyed, so over 4,000, said that the workplace is not, just have it up here, it's not aligned to women's needs. And the things that they want are flexibility. And that can mean so many different things to so many different people. So it doesn't mean we're just working from home, but it means having the autonomy with their manager to talk about what's going on, or, feeling confident and flexible that they will do their job in whatever way, how they can. And then also resume gaps, as Penny mentioned, is a huge issue. And then the other thing is compensation. And that doesn't even have to be just their salary. It also, your parental leave, the childcare benefits, all of that kind of comes into what that looks like. So really you've provided solutions to all these concerns that women in the workplace have. Well, on that note, I think there are some questions. So thank you all so much for your comments. The comments have been going, and we've loved reading them all. But we'll dive into the Q&A. Okay. How would any of you suggest speaking to the value of being mom within an interview in a way that could help you land the job?
I'll give this one a shot. I don't know if you asked this question before or after we spoke about how parenting kind of helps us be more productive, but I think everything that we all shared, Molly talking about her walk and talks on the way back from drop off, those kind of things, really maximizing time, talking about leading with empathy, and think about what it has done for you. Go back to before you had kids, if you were working at that time. Think about how your working approach has changed for the better since then. I'll address the fact that in the United States, I'm an employment lawyer, so a little nerd out plug. In the United States, job candidates or employees are protected from discrimination at work based on their gender, and depending on where you are, a bunch of other things related to caregiver status. It doesn't mean that every hiring manager or boss is going to abide by the law in that capacity. And I think that saying out loud that you are a parent and here are the ways that it has changed you kind of breaks through any implicit biases that a hiring manager might have in, thinking, oh, I think this person mentioned maybe that she had a kid, or I suspect she has children, or I looked her up online. It looked like she had kids. I wonder if she's going to have sick kids at home all the time. If you confront it head on, my gut is that you'll kind of preempt any particular or any potential implicit biases or questions in a hiring manager's mind, and show them that you've thought about this.
And Josie, something else, we just had a masterclass with Ashley Cash, a resume expert, and she talks a lot about how she uses her mom skills, the PTA or kind of all those things that she does and how to address them and then move on and talk about those skills. So kind of address that elephant in the room, quote, I shouldn't call it an elephant in the room, but, address the thing that you're nervous about and then shift the question to the things that you can do and the things that you bring to the table.
And I have one thing to add too. I'm really keen on this, is thinking deeply about the requirements of the work, the requirements of the job, and mirroring that with the skills that you have, no matter where you gain them, whether it was being a mom or in your last job, or when you had, a lemonade stand when you were 12, right? Like just thinking holistically about what are the requirements of the job and how did I gain the skills that were necessary for that, whether it was in my momming or other things that I've done in my life, but really zeroing in on what are the requirements of the job and then bringing forward what it is about you that makes you so qualified.
Penny, I just really love that. I feel like it destigmatizes like mom is this other thing. It's just like, it's one more thing in the list of your experiences. I just love the way you spoke about that, because I think it moves it from like off the side of the table to just center, and like all the different ways when I'm applying for a job that might be a different industry than what I've ever done before. Well, how do I think about my transferable skills from this other industry? Mom's just the same. I think that's really beautiful. Just wanted to plus you there. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. All those were great answers.
Mm-hmm.
Another person asked, how and when do you approach the conversation when interviewing for new roles that are marketed as hybrid and full-time, but you prefer to work remotely and potentially at a reduced schedule? Go for it, Penny.
So I don't know that this is a complete answer, but I'll tell you what comes to mind first. Get them to love you first.
Mm-hmm.
Win them over. Show them every reason why you're the right person for this job, right? And maybe even lean in, take it as a contract, whatever, start the job, and then move into the position of, this is how I best work, and this is how I'm going to deliver value. Mm-hmm. That's what comes to mind first.
That was.
I agree. I so sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I agree. I think that if a company is looking to hire a part-time or remote employee, or is open to that, it'll probably be in the job description to start, but they might just not know yet that they're able to do it. Some companies, it'll be a hard no, and that's nothing personal against you. It's the business needs. But I agree with Penny that if you show up and you're doing the work and you're open about what other things you're juggling so they can see that you're able to do the work in spite of those things, then all you can do is ask, at 3 months, 6 months, check in with your manager. Hey, I was thinking, I wonder if we could do some flexibility here. And again, the answer might be no. And so then you gave it a shot and you'll look for your next thing. But you won't know until you ask, and the answer might be yes.
Amazing answers. We have some resources on that too. So I will go back in and kind of add, because there is something that we can talk about, we have some resources on that in our blog. Another question, thank you for your valuable information. What do you have to say about LinkedIn connections? As far as I know, I haven't heard back from anyone I approached for help. Does Mom Project have a platform to connect with anyone from the Mom Project or who have got a job via your platform to connect? That is a great question. And we do recommend that you email care@themomproject.com, and we can kind of connect you with our recruitment team. And then on LinkedIn, and Penny, I'm sorry, I'm just answering this, but we do also have a lot of testimonials and spotlights of women that have gotten hired. So that's also something to look at. And Also, do not be afraid to connect with people on LinkedIn and be persistent. Those would be my tips as far as the Mom Project is concerned, and I'll let you all weigh in as well.
I mean, I think this is probably something, Arthur, you may be doing already, but I do think taking a look to see if there are any potential connections who can make the introduction for you. I loved LinkedIn, and I know that it is a really busy place. I kind of get overwhelmed sometimes by the number of inbound. And so I do think there's that, what is the thing that cuts through the noise? And I think having somebody make that introduction. And I wouldn't be afraid to reach out to people you don't know that well, but you are connected to on LinkedIn. That's actually for me something that really gets me. If someone's reached out to me, I haven't maybe talked to them in a few years, even a decade. If they're reaching out to me because they want an introduction to do something that would help them advance their career, like for me, it is this gift to like pay it forward. And so I'm actually likely to respond to those. And I think people are more likely on the receiving end to open it up when you have somebody introduce you. So I think that's just been something that's worked for me. And I just wouldn't feel shy about reaching out to your connections to ask for a little bit of help making that introduction. People love to pass on great talent. That's like the best gift.
Oh, I will also add on to that. As a person who can sometimes be a little delinquent in her personal correspondence, because, you know, the children and the job and the momming hard, follow up. So if you've reached out to someone and it's been a week or two and you haven't heard back from them, just follow up. Hey, not sure if you got my message above, still really interested in connecting with you. By any chance, do you have time the next few weeks? Whenever someone does that to me, it like 100% of the time, the reason that I did not respond in the first place is because I forgot, or it like got stuck in some other, email chain in my inbox, or more often than not, I wrote the response and then didn't do that final very important part of pressing send. So, when you're getting through parenting and work life, it can sometimes be easy to miss those things, but don't take it personally and give the person a shot to help you by giving them a little ping.
That's very good advice, because I can't tell you how many times I've told people I mentally responded to that, but I didn't actually. Just in that phase of life. Okay, we have one more question. Allison asks, I love all the support and things that are in place now. I have 2 college students. We have come a long way. Years ago, many of us that were moms undersold ourselves because we just wanted to return to work. How do you suggest to others to not undersell yourself? How do you promote yourself in the workplace and not have mom guilt? Allison, that's a great question. Does anyone want to join?
Yeah, I'm happy to start the conversation on this one. You need someone to give you a pep talk, because you got a lot of skills, right? You need to feel very bullish about what you're going to do next. Do not undersell yourself. Do not do that. You got to feel super confident when you're walking into interviews about what you have and what value you're going to provide to this hiring manager and to this company. So get some coaching to really, make you feel, and you can project exactly what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll add that when you're reading the Mom Project's report, material on Moms First, when you're looking at Etsy's careers page and you see all of the supports that are available, and then all of the huge gaps in childcare and support for parents in this country, you'll be reminded that your insecurities or instinct to undersell yourself is not actually anything real. It's a product of all of the societal forces that are kind of against parents. And so if you view yourself as sort of a manifestation of a symptom of this problem, hopefully that will kind of get you in check and think, oh, this feeling has nothing to do with me. This is a reflection of the issues that we're all working hard to change. And you can change it by sitting up straight and walking into that interview or back to your first day of work and kind of proving the world wrong.
Sometimes go back and look at an old performance review of something your boss loved about you, or like truly call some of your girlfriends or old, work colleagues who were your true friends. And just, I think, Penny, I think your point about like the pep talk, we all need a pep talk sometimes. And I think that just, again, don't be afraid to lean on folks in your network. And even the performance review thing is funny, because I found one or two over time. I was like, oh, wow, this is kind of nice. Oh, I forgot that somebody else said that about me. And it makes it feel a little bit more comfortable sometimes to say it about yourself, right? And we want to get to the place where we can just say it about ourselves, right? Because it's true. But I think sometimes that is like a nice little half step to getting to that place of full confidence.
Oh, those were such amazing takeaways. Well, and unfortunately, this wraps up our time together. I feel like we could stay here and talk forever. But Penny, Marissa, and Molly, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your perspectives, and for collectively helping to amplify the power of mom. To those who joined us today, thank you so much for being here. And we hope that you learned more about what companies can do to elevate and uplift moms in the workforce. And we hope that you have some takeaways to apply to your journey and beyond. We will be sending a post email with some of the things we talked about today. Thank you again for being here. And to those in our community, check out our masterclasses. We have a few coming up that will talk about your reentry into the workforce, or how to figure out what that career pivot looks like. So we hope you'll join us again. Thank you. Thank you again, Marissa, Molly, Penny. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to Etsy and Moms First for providing such valuable insights to our report. We hope you all have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.